G'day team, it's Kris speaking. Welcome back. We are up to the second last video of the From Fear to Excitement series. Today we're going to be talking about fat redistribution. Now, for me, full disclosure, fat redistribution was not something I necessarily feared, but I was curious about how it would work and how it would look on me. That being said, I'm 18 months on testosterone. That process hasn't necessarily finished yet. In fact, I think it takes 5 to 10 years for that to all sort of move to sit to where it's going to sit for most of your life. The reason for that, guys, is that puberty takes many years. So puberty 2.0 is also going to take many years. What I want to talk about in terms of from fear to excitement is that your body looks a certain way. It is normal for you to wonder what's going to happen once you're on hormones, or once you start doing something that isn't necessarily transition related. It could just be going to the gym. That is going to change the way that your body looks and how you look towards yourself. When I started on hormones, I wasn't sure how they were going to affect me and affect how my body would look. And it's all part and parcel of the hormone lottery. You don't get to choose what happens to you. But I was worried that I wouldn't recognize the person in the mirror as that fat redistribution started to happen. Now, like I said, I don't necessarily think that redistribution happens within the first sort of 12 months of taking testosterone. I will put a photo of myself up on the screen, one of pre-T to 1 year on T. My facial structure definitely changed, so that is something that you will see, and I recommend to anyone, if you are going to start hormones, whether they be feminizing or masculinizing, to document the process, not necessarily for the public, but for yourself, just to look back on and see just how many changes happened. Because I know that for me, when I was having bad dysphoria days, and I looked back on even 1 to 3 months on testosterone, or 1 to 6 months on testosterone, I could see subtle changes, particularly in my face. Now, that happened pretty quickly, I would say. Between that 1 and 12 month, there are definitely some physical aspects that change on you. I got broader, for example. I was putting on muscle easier, and as well as with the facial changes and the obvious things like the facial hair, etc. We can go into transition, and I speak from personal experience, I'm not talking for anybody else. I went into transition not knowing when I was going to recognize myself in the mirror, and I think that's what I feared more than anything, was at what point would I be comfortable looking at the person that you're looking at now and go, yep, that's me. I had a moment 4 months on testosterone, and I still have that photo. In fact, it's the photo for my profile here. I was only 4 months on testosterone at this point. It was the first photo that I took of myself where I was like, that's him. That is the person that I am, and I can see it. And that was such a euphoric moment, and I think from that point on, that's when it turned to excitement for me, even though it was quite early in transition, even though that fat redistribution hadn't necessarily started happening in a big way, except for my face. If you watch my 18 months on testosterone video, which came out last week, I believe it was, or even maybe earlier this week, I talk about how that fat has started to move on my body more so in the last, 4 months or so. It's shifting up from my thighs and my hips. It's coming up into my stomach region, and that was another euphoric moment when I realized that was happening, was that I wasn't carrying so much on my hips. Not because hips cause me a great deal of dysphoria. It is probably the part of my body which I am most dysphoric about to this day, and I think that's the case with a lot of other trans masculine people. Not that I'm talking for people, but I've come across a lot of transmasculine people who, sorry for boring you, that still have issues with their hips no matter what stage they are along their transition timeline. But noticing that I was holding more weight front and center in my stomach was a euphoric moment for me, and again, it turned into excitement that things were starting to happen there. I'm not necessarily looking personally into any more surgeries in the foreseeable future, whether that be a top surgery revision or even looking into bottom surgery. I don't know where I am on that yet. So hormones is it for me at the moment. So I've had my top surgery. I have another review in a couple of weeks' time. They're probably going to ask me if I want a revision surgery, and that's another video to talk about. So I will get to that in a few weeks' time. But those two moments for me are when they turned into excitement, like, oh, this is happening, and I get to see who I am. I get to see the person that I felt like on the inside for so long. It is now being portrayed to me visually because of that redistribution. So while I didn't necessarily fear it, it was something that I was very curious as to how it would affect me. You guys want to see. I know how this works. It's not me that you're here for, it's the dog. That's okay, she's cute. As you can see, I'm holding more weight in my stomach because of Christmas ham and lack of self-control and whiskey. Whiskey is a big part of that. Anyway, if you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you like Ariana, she says to give it a thumbs up as well. One of these. She doesn't have opposable thumbs. And if you like the content, then click on my face somewhere on the screen, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, bye.